Hello. Hello, everyone. Just a few of you right now. We'll wait a second. As we always do, let everybody get on. Lauren Story Live. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go on to discard. And the arm off the Kickstart number. I don't know what that is. Hold on one second. I'm back. Sending a message on Discord. Hello, hello. It's funny, we had 5 people here. I walked off the screen, 3 of you left. So it's just us. It's an intimate group. Have any questions for the people that are here while we're waiting for a couple other people? I see stuff on Discord. Obviously, people are writing in questions about cost of the Kickstarter, after the Kickstarter of the eggs. Hope we see a bit more of the game and the arm after the Kickstarter number. I got to figure out what that question is in Discord. Can you guys hear me okay? Go ahead and give a heart or something if... Okay, good. Sometimes I just start talking and nothing's working. Is everything working? Good. Good. I am kind of fired up while we're waiting for a couple of people to jump on. This last week was really good. I've got some development updates on our dev side. Couple of setbacks, but also some move forwards. It's all the wonderful nonsense of growing and building a business. Well, do you know what? Let's go ahead and get started. It's 6:04. If they're not here, they can watch the recording. So thanks for showing up. We got an intimate group today. That's perfectly great. Again, like if you have any specific questions that we haven't answered recently, we've kind of been gearing things up over the last, 2 weeks? Using some of the moderators on Discord and some of the other things we've launched officially. Like we've been doing a test this last week on Facebook with our ads, as well as getting people into the VIP tier. If you've been on the website, you've probably been seeing that super awesome pop-up, depending on your feelings on pop-ups are. But no, it's time to start letting everybody know that we're getting to the Kickstarter. And not only that, but driving everything that we're doing to the Kickstarter, meaning once we have what we're doing here at Dragon Federation, just so everybody knows, we are targeting a certain number of VIP signups. We're probably going to gamify this in a way that if you guys help bring people to the project or sign up or participate in the Kickstarter and other types of things, that you'll be able to earn different things. And so we are going to be putting together kind of a VIP structure and what that looks like, and a lead up and a way for you guys to earn different things all throughout the Kickstarter and even thereafter. For those of you who've been with us for a while, you know that we like to kind of exceed expectations. Certainly we get, setbacks that set us back, but we also like to reward everybody that comes in and helps us get to where we're going, do what we're doing. The good news is on this one, just kind of say this Kickstarter, if we haven't made this clear enough yet, this Kickstarter isn't for funding purposes. This is for community and launch purposes. So I want to make that really clear. Although we are asking for pre-orders and we will be going through that on the Kickstarter, it's really so that we can dial in exactly how much that we spent. Because when we were doing this before, especially with the eggs that we had, when we were outsourcing it, we were forecasting What we want to do on this one is make sure that every dollar spent on the experience and not on additional product, warehouse, inventory, supply, blah. I don't want to get like all conversational about that, but going into the dragon realm and getting out dragon eggs is actually cost money. And so every time that we do that, we just want to make sure that we're grabbing enough. So that's really what the Kickstarter is. The Kickstarter this time around is like, okay, this is how many people have signed up. This is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to launch the product. And this is when it's going to be done. The good news is, as we're ramping toward the Kickstarter, I just want to let you know, because you've probably seen Dice or some other people, if you've been in the Discord, we have started putting the VIP tester group together, and they are going to be testing different parts of the app. And I just spoke with my CTO today, and it looks like our Dragon Brain, our state machines, and some of the other things that we haven't talked about. I talked about it last time, just a little bit, about this idea of being able to see how long, if you want your dragon to have a certain trait or male or female or a class, right? These ideas of these sliders that you'll be able to kind of manipulate to see if you're in the right range, if your dragon's growing properly, but more importantly than that, so that you can kind of get an expectation of, I want a female, I want a breeder, I want a fire breather, I want somebody that has an aggressive personality because I'm training it to be, in a warrior or a battle class. Then you kind of start to understand the time that it's going to take to get that result. And even if it's just time, right? Meaning, hey, it's going to, you're going to want to plan on 10 hours a week. You're going to want to plan on 5 hours a week, whatever that may be, without giving away the secret of the recipe. At least you'll know from an expectation about what you need to plan for and how you should be involving that type of thing. And I look at this because I'll just kind of share this with you guys. Like, one of my passions outside of what I'm doing here, I'm a cyclist. And so I mountain bike a lot. I used to road bike a lot, and I've gotten my family into it. And so just anecdotally, my son has started competing in NICA, which is a national, like, high school level mountain bike organization. And in the training regiment, just to compete, not like just to compete, right? But to be like competitive for podiums and whatnot. Just to kind of give you an idea of the volume that he and I had to ride last year. We rode close to 3,000 miles. And those are mountain miles, right? So 3,000 miles, like several 100,000 feet of elevation over the year. And the time, I can't even remember the time off my head about how many hours that it took. And that's just to be competitive at a high school level. We're not even talking about like on a professional level or like on an Olympic level. Sidebar. When you start thinking about what you want your dragon to become and what you want to become with your dragon, this is where it's kind of relevant, right? Because you start thinking about the time and energy it's going to take to get it there. Now, obviously, we're not one for one. I'm not asking you guys to spend an entire life into this, but with the ecosystems that we're creating here, we do hope that there are means to monetize your efforts, whether that's in training regiments, understanding different breeds of dragons, intimately understanding like binding, what to do, foods, all of that type of stuff. Because your dragon personalities, and this is what I'm really, really, really excited about. When we launch the next test, which is going to be very, very soon, I don't have an exact date, but we've already it's getting plugged in right now. What our CTO has actually put into the dragons is a genetic model, meaning that every single one of your guys' dragons, when we turn this thing on, will have its own traits assigned at birth, which will be unique to you. So some of you that have been through the training process with us before, the testing process, you understand that, oh, Billy over here on the East Coast and Cindy over here on the West Coast, they were seeing the same dragons. They were having the same notifications because we were just, really testing out functionality, how much time was being used, and some of those other things. But now, individual traits like personality, aggressive nature, where it kind of falls on that scale, the opportunity for even genetic differences, all of that stuff. I can't even remember how many exactly are built in innately, but again, you guys will have unique features that, just like we did with the eggs, your dragons will all have that. So I'm really excited about that, for you guys to be able to start that. The persistence model is done. We are testing that so that now, when a weather pattern changes, or when you say something you don't want your dragon to remember, it's now going to remember it. All of those types of things, where a hard reset sometimes might do us some good. Your dragon's already got that now. So all of the things that we've been working on, the behind the scenes, right? It's not the show and tell up front, because we've got a new skin to display. We've got some of the world that we're going to display. All of what we've been doing is really driving this unique personal companion that's just, it's going to develop and learn from you guys. And I know that we had some of you, like, I don't know if you saw this, but there were some people that were commenting on Facebook that would be like, hey, how about you release the original game that you guys were talking about? And I don't know if you guys have ever talked to us or really looked at our stuff, but game is not really a term that we actually use that often, if at all. There's gamification, but it really is a companion that you have the ability to adventure, to grow with, to develop with, and that is extraordinarily intelligent. So I'm really excited about those pieces of it, and to get you guys testing it and to playing with it and creating those bonds and those opportunities, because that is right around the corner. And the good news of that, going back to the Kickstarter, is simply this. Once we get to the end of the Kickstarter, and we're only looking at a 30-day deal. We're not going to stretch this out for like 45 days or whatever. It's going to be 30 days to allow everybody to get in where they need to. We will have a launch date that will more than likely be published during the Kickstarter. Because of the development and all the work that we're doing, we should be able to have that pinpointed. And so I'm really excited about all the work that we've been doing. And I know that, this journey has been a while. I definitely see here, many of you have been with us since the first Kickstarter. And so, trust me, I am as happy to see these milestones, to get to these places as probably you are, if not more so. And I'll arm wrestle you for it if we need to battle that. But yeah, so what to expect with the Kickstarter? We have talked about there will be another breed that we will be announcing with this. It's only going to be available for the VIP. So I want to let you guys know this. If you signed up, we have a ton of emails that have signed up. But not a lot of people have put down that extra $5. We've had a few canceled transactions or declined transactions or some things like that. If you thought that you signed up, you might want to double check to see, because to be in the VIP will allow you to have access to that new breed, as well as some of the other perks. Just signing up with your email doesn't give you that access when we launch. So I will say that this breed too is different than maybe some of the ones that we've already seen. I'm only going to say that for now. But let's see. Is there an ETA when the North American Elder will be interactive through the app? So just so you know, on the Elder, actually, I'm going to talk about something really quick that we're developing and I'm really excited about. Because that's a really good question. Just so you know, the North American Elder, we already have the model. We already have the animations and everything else with it. We just haven't put it into that system. And this one is just going to be, here's kind of the way that the dragons will happen with this. We're going to be testing the state machine. We're going to be testing the intelligence level and obviously some of the UX UI stuff, so to make sure that you guys aren't falling over it and going, how do you do this? This is so clunky. I hate this feature so much. Change this. Once we kind of get that ironed out and we feel like the app's in a really good place from the user experience standpoint, we will add all the dragons. So the pygmies and the elders will more than likely, if they're not being tested during the Kickstarter, will be available shortly thereafter, because my plans, I get it. Life has a funny way of not making the things that I want to happen, like, be postponed. But the way that I'm hoping to do this is that we're running our full-blown beta with all the features and everything that you expect to experience in the first year of your dragon's life during the Kickstarter. And so that's why it's also really important with what's happening with the VIP, because just signing up with your email doesn't necessarily get you access to beta testing. That's only something that will be coming through the VIP, or if you've already purchased an egg. So all of those things, if you've already purchased a dragon and you're in that space, then of course we're going to include you in that. But if you want to be included in this sort of this ongoing process on the testing side of things to get early access and kind of understand really what you're up against, then then make sure that you get the VIP locked in on that $5, because we really want to see who's here browsing, who's just checking the window dressing, and who's actually really going to be a part of it. And I'm pretty sure that most of you that are on this call are all part of that anyway, but I'm just making sure for those that watch it when they're seeing all the stuff that's coming through anyway right now. Have you got a goal to hit? I do. And because this is really community driven, I can share this with you guys. We're really looking to have right around 3,500 VIPs that have paid the $5 subscription, and 3,500, right, to that point. To give you where we're at right now, we've been doing some early testing with some ads. If you've seen Facebook, we are running some stuff. But we've got about 100 VIPs. Now, for a lot of you that are going, well, that's not very many, and this is going to take forever to get there. No, it's not, because here's why. We're running a very selective test against our pricing. Like, what does it cost to advertise to get a customer to come into the VIP subscription? We already know that number. That number already exists. We've done enough testing on it to actually turn that up and scale it. And we're working with a couple of our investors already to unlock the funds to be able to just crank on that. The only thing that we will be testing against is whether or not Facebook decides to. For those of you that have ever done advertising on Facebook, you probably recognize that the more you scale, the more it seems to cost money to be able to get to certain places. But as long as we ramp it up at a specific interval, we could get to $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 even in a month in spending to be able to pull in the numbers that we need to pull in. And so we are prepared to do that at a very efficient sort of time scale, because I am hoping that our Kickstarter at the very least is wrapped up before summer. And that's at the very least, or that's the maximum. I don't want to go beyond that for the Kickstarter to be launched. I want to be done with it by the time that's done. So those are my goals. That's what I'm driving toward on this. And that gives us also enough time to test over the next month, month and a half on what's actually coming down the pike with the features. One of the things that I will talk about that goes back into the comment with the North American elder. So, because we have individual dragons, we have unique eggs. The third problem that we really come just, man, we're just like face to face here. It's like an end boss in any game that you just pick one. I'm a Zelda guy, so most of my references are Zelda. But the what's really come face to face here is just thumbs down me if you heard me talk about this before. But if you've ever done a simulator previously, how many have done simulators? Just give me a thumbs up. And I'm talking pet sims, or you could play Sims or SimCity, not SimCity because that's the city, but anything that you're doing with a character that's a simulator. What's the most annoying thing about those? I have my pet peeve, and I'll tell you what mine is. You guys want to put some comments in there? Because I would love to understand what you guys think is the most annoying thing about a pet simulator. And I know that previously we'd had this discussion that most of you were like, well, it's not necessarily a simulator that I don't like. It's the fact that when I see an animal in a game, I can't interact with it or I can't pet it. But if you guys have anything that that annoys you about pet simulators specifically, share those in the comments with me. Here's mine. I'm going to go first. Most pet simulators that I've ever engaged with, whether it's AR, VR, or even just control console, you have a limited amount of animations. So like you can touch the animal, you can pet it. Maybe you'll scratch it behind its ear. Maybe you'll do something else. But there's like 1 or 2 or 3 sets of animations that are on repeat that you just do. So if you want to pet it and you go like in VR, like if any of you did BOGO VR, did any of you guys do that? If you go to pet it on the head, it does the same animation every time you go to pet it on the head. If you go to pet it on the belly, it rolls over and does the same animation on the belly every time. And I hate it because you want to talk about something that gets stale and you're just sick of it and you want to move on from it. And it's like, wow, I paid however much for this thing. And my job is now I'm quite literally a caretaker, but everybody thought that was the rage when VR first came out, like job simulator. I'm going to, push a button on a cash register and I'm going to get stressed out making a whole bunch of different things for a whole bunch of different people. And that's going to be a fun experience. Same thing with BOGO VR. I'm going to stay in a singular space. I'm going to throw food over there or the toy or whatever, and it's going to go fetch it and feed it back. I can't walk around the space at all. The animal's going to come back. I'm going to pet it, and it's going to, like, some hearts are going to come up. And my job is to entertain the animal and myself all without getting bored. And so our job, and this is why this is a long-winded thing, and I apologize for this, because one of the things that I've been trying to solve on this project since day one is a unique animal that not everybody sees. So we've solved that. And I just want to share that because what you guys love about the eggs, the very fact that no 2 of these are the same, has continued into the digital footprint of your dragon. They have their own digital genetic code. And that's when I can say the genetic model that they have is unique to your dragon. Number 1. 2, okay, the the animation cycle. So if you like to pet your dragon behind its head, or if you had the opportunity to play with our little hatchling in VR, most of you don't have the AR experience because it's only for the select few because we never published it. The dragon has limited animation, but what we're working on right now is actually to create unique animations based on what you've trained it for, as well as its environment. So, and here's just a quick example. Let's just say you're out or you're in a space in the dragon realm where all of a sudden you trigger a bunch of dandelions, and the tufts float up, right? And your dragon has an allergic reaction because your genetic code is allergic to this particular type of blooming plant. What happens is that your dragon can have a reflex activity that will cause it to sneeze, and based on the amount that it's in there and some of the medicines or the foods that you've given it are going to cause it to react more violently, less violently, or uniquely throughout that experience, and that's going to continue to evolve. And so what you see is not necessarily what somebody else is going to see. And that's because we're building into this a procedural system. And this is just a little bit, I'm peeling it back just a little bit, but I'm not going to go too far because I don't want to give too much of this away. But we're building in a procedural system. If you're familiar with what Unreal does with motion rigs, and how some of the new characters, as they're running in landscapes, hands will be put in locations, and those aren't keyframe animations or new animations that are being created, but it's based on the logic of how fast the character's moving, the terrain slope, the angle that their foot's hitting on there, how fast they're moving, all of these types of things that are being calculated into this. Well, we're doing something very similar with this, based on what your dragon knows, what it doesn't know, what it's been trained on, how sleepy it is, how tired it is. These types of things are all going to start to create a different sort of animation property and feedback property of the way that it interacts with you. So you're going to really get to understand it. Like, when you think that you hear those stories with pet owners where like they left their pet with somebody and then they came back and they looked at their pet and they're like, hey, this isn't my animal. And I know that this is probably more in movies than it is in real life, but like, the animal died and they try to replace it with a lookalike. And the owner's like, that's not my animal. And you recognize it because of the personality, not because of necessarily it doesn't look the same way, but its behaviors are different. And that is being currently worked on in a way that's completely scalable. And why that's important is because in order to do that, even just for one dragon, if anybody here is in the development or animation segment, go ahead and raise your hand, because you would know, one, how hard it is to make something look believable just from regular animations. How hard is it to actually do that on a scalable result with unique animations that give different sort of outputs, based on what you input to it. So that is definitely something that we're working on, and we are going to be testing it here in the next coming weeks as well. But I'm really, really excited about it. So let's see. I'm going to just go through here because I'm going to try and keep this up to date because we're getting a lot of comments in here. The Kickstarter work with the VR. Okay. So to address VR, one of the reasons why we're also pursuing what we're doing is so that we can get things into VR very quickly. We are going to be including pieces of the VR as part of the stretch goals. It's not that it won't be available at launch or probably even this year. It's more like we've got to understand our own priority, because we were told this all the time. But when we started pursuing multiple different platforms at once, especially if you had to build one thing in Unreal and one thing in Unity, it was like you have to have it's double the cost on everything. Actually, it's probably more triple the cost because even developing in Unreal, and the reason why we were doing it in Unreal is because the fidelity that Unreal provides that's above and beyond Unity. But the other piece of this is that the way that we've actually created the Dragon genetic system as well as the animation system allows us to plug that in to both engines without duplicating the process. That's going to speed up our timelines for what happens with VR as well as what happens on the mobile app. So all of those things are still on board, but a couple of the things that we have planned, and you'll probably see this in the Kickstarter for some of the stretch goals, I am hoping to be able to bring this to you in different ways for your desktop computer, as well as possibly even on your TV. And I'm not going to unlock what that is yet, but when we talked about this originally from a multi-platform experience, we have kind of the recipe that would include that. And so I do want to know how many of you would be interested in having that in more than one way, not just on your phone or not just in VR, but if you're at work and you wanted to interact with your Dragon on your computer as a screensaver. I can't remember the screensaver that it was, but my CTO was talking about it. It was that guy that was stranded on the desert island. Have you guys ever seen that? And like these sort of storylines happened, but being able to experience it in multiple different ways, and even like we said, even on your TV. We will probably be announcing that as part of the stretch goals in the Kickstarter, but we will be publishing a timeline for what that looks like, as well as what the stretch goals are to be able to hit those and unlock those things with that timeline. So, yeah, I'm really, really excited about this stuff. And again, don't take our quietness or the passivity or whatever you want to look at it from, like how we interact with. We definitely have to pick our battles right now, because like everything that I'm doing is to drive that forward. It's why some of the things with like replacing some of the damaged eggs that have happened, I've put that on hold of my priority list, because yes, I could just even ship you guys some of the stuff that we have in inventory, but I'm more interested in getting a product that's stable and then also comes partnered with all of the development on the on that side that we're doing. So I hope that I hope that clears a little bit up. Let me see. Is it new or just one kind of the old species? Is it a new or just one of the old species that were announced? I know why you're asking that question, Severus. There are some people here that had the ability to buy an Altum, and that was a breed that was announced. Now, unfortunately, for most everybody else that never purchased an Altum, you're going to be waiting, I don't know how long. But for those of you that did buy an Altum, don't worry, that dragon's still coming. And I cannot confirm yet what dragon it's going to be. Technically, I don't want to ruin the surprise. Because you'll like it, and I think that a lot of people will be excited about it. But for those that are wanting the Altum, you might be waiting a little bit longer. Let me just say that. How about that? Sorry, but it's okay. I promise, because that's like the dragon. Now that dragon has become, let's be honest, like the Altum has become this dragon of like, epic proportions. It's been written into the blog post, the Miyoka blog post. For those that you were working with us on the FanX side, did anybody get by the way, did anybody get the comic preview? Did you guys see that? It was crazy because Dragon Seer, give her some love, because she was the inspiration and the help for part of that story, most of the story. And I talked to her just the other day, and I said, "Hey, did you ever see the comic preview that we did? Because an Altum was featured in that, and that's why you'll kind of see my segue here. But and she says no, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a travesty. So yeah, the part of the VIP package is we're going to be building out that comic series as well. But we've got some artwork on that and some different things, and we moved pretty fast on it, but it looks really good. It's pretty awesome. Sorry, that was a total sidebar, but those are some of the things again that are going to be creeping into the Kickstarter. But we did have it on the Kickstarter landing page, so there you go. Here, okay. So Dominic, yeah, the $5 only for the VIP. Now, I do want to clarify. So the $5 will definitely get you access to everything that's coming on the Kickstarter side, and it will also allow you to get to the early bird. So we will be having a VIP access prior to the actual Kickstarter going live, so you guys will get first come first serve. That's one thing that I haven't talked about before, but we did do this before with people that had signed up and registered. We've talked about this before, just in the name of the Kickstarter. When we start doing early birds and everything else, talk with the group in the Discord. If you guys know, these things go fast. Like, they went really fast last time based on the number that we're targeting for this one. They're going to go fast. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to sell out the Mountain Skull. The Elder will sell out because of the quantities that are left. And then the new breed is probably going to sell out as well. So I would imagine that you're going to want to get in fast on these ones because these are the original breeds. That's all part of it. And they will be announced as far as the deals that will be had in there from the early bird specials and those types of things. So yeah, so the $5 VIP gets you access to that, but then you will get those discounts that will be included on that when you make the purchase in the Kickstarter. So just to clarify any of that, they're pre-programmed and don't evolve. They're cute enough, just not special enough to me. Yeah, exactly. Just going back a little bit, we just jumped back into what we don't like about Pet Sims, but Sakura-chan, couldn't agree more. Kinematics did really well with Pet Simulation, in my opinion. Underrated and so much potential. Agree. Also hate when we can't walk around with my pet and interact with the world. Yeah, we're speaking the same language. I mean, this is why we're all here, right? And make it grow, but why am I making it grow? What are we trying to accomplish besides getting it fully grown and stop the pull to play? Again, another one of the problems, and we've talked about this before. I really do hope that you guys are expecting and that you want to have a companion in the truest sense of the form, right? When we talk about this, there's a reason why your eggs are original, your traits are original, and the interactions and the training that you're going to be teaching it are unique to you and the dragon. Because once you have that, imagine for a second that your dragon has the same power and capability of an agentic AI, but it's only trained on you, understands that, but still can access that sort of highway, that information highway, and still be of daily assistance if needed. I want you to think about that and how powerful that can be as far as having your own companion. And again, we're not looking at this as a replacement to anything as much as it's an additive opportunity. Because we hope that, this is more of an experience where you guys get to not only experience the companionship of a dragon, but then evolve your own relationships and even some of the ones that you're making in Discord and otherwise, to expand that community through your companion. So the Dominicans, have you done breeding? Have we bred a dragon yet? That's, I think, what you're asking there. Have we bred it? We haven't, not in the way that you think that it is. One of the reasons why we have an entire epigenetic model is because those traits, you ready for this? Yes, you have epigenetics that can be turned on and off based on food choices, based on bonding, based on other things. And all of these pieces, based on where your epigenetics are, this is why there's a whole entire genetic model that's been fed into the growing and persistence of the dragon, because those will have an effect on the offspring that it produces. So we've done some modeling on that. That's why it's put there. We've been playing with that, but that's another really fun part of this whole puzzle. So the epigenetics are built into the dragon at this point. So we will be able to start to see that take hold. Let's see. No, give us some spoilers. Yeah, I know that you want spoilers, Altum. So Sakura-chan doesn't know what the Altum is, and that's expected because we haven't really talked about it, and I have pulled it down from the website. There's been a couple of different breeds that we've talked about. Go through the blog post if you haven't seen it. The Miyoko, I think that's her name. Sorry if I just butchered it. It was really more of a fictional, not a fictional, it was a memoir account of one of the previous dragon riders from the Federation of Dragons, which is part of the lore. That's all wrapped into what we're doing right now, right? Because there's a whole world that needs to be uncovered. And so you'll be able to learn about that dragon there. That's kind of one of the first places that it's talked about, but it's one of mythology and lore that's within inside the own dragon universe. So go check it out. It's a really awesome dragon. Let's see, how far do we expect the elder dragon to come into play? How far out do we expect the elder dragon? So you weren't here for this, Mike. Michael. On the elder dragon, we don't expect it to be that far behind. The only question that we will start to evaluate is how much do we want the elder dragon competing with the mountain skull at day one versus a little bit of a delay. That's all. I haven't even really considered that until that question has been asked. So I'm kind of spewing without actually understanding or road mapping that properly, but we'll talk about that later. Let's see. Gosh, that was last talked about 2024 on the server. The old Kickstarter FanX exclusive from back then. So if you're talking about the Ultimate Dragon, that was actually talked about when the very first time that we did FanX, which is about 3 years ago. That was the first time that we introduced that dragon, and that's where we kind of exclusively sold it. Most people that purchased a dragon at that event purchased the Ultimate. I'll just show you that. And we haven't put it on sale since. So it's been one of those things that definitely people are chomping at the bit for, and I get why. So let's see. Well, you did post on Discord for Kickstarter. That's great. Can a discount from last year's VIP be used for upcoming dragons? There was never a chance to use it. Yeah. So like if you have like any of the VIP plans, like the subscription plans or the egg monthly purchase plan, those can absolutely still be used for this stuff. I know that some of you are a little bit, I don't want to say crestfallen in the sense that like whether you want a payment plan and Kickstarter doesn't allow that. If you do use those mechanisms that we still have on the website to be able to do that, there's no way that we can reserve a dragon from the Kickstarter for that per se, if that makes sense. But we do plan on launching sales of dragons right after the Kickstarter or within like a moderate window so that you can still get those. And once those are available, yes, you can use that for any of those dragon purchases. So those will still be honored. Those are still good for that. So 100%. Let's see. was Dragon Fighters should be providing players a purpose or goal to accomplish beyond just growing and leveling. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we haven't talked about this, and I appreciate you kind of segueing me into this, if that's what you were doing, Michael. But the lore still exists. Bonding with your dragon is the most important thing because humans and dragons. For those of you that have maybe seen some ads that we were messing with, some boosted posts, it was called Friend or Foe. And we talked about the history of dragons and humans, how it was contentious. There was a war. This is also talked about in the blog post and in the comic, and it led to not only the dragons being moved off world, but then to the humans being banished from the new dragon realm. That world is where we have found our current dragons. So those dragons we've found where the dragon realm is, and we've been going on expedition teams to pull out the eggs that have been unhatched. So for centuries, because these two worlds are tied, especially in geological fashions, as well as temperature and some of the other pieces of that. And those changing conditions have actually prevented dragon offspring from hatching. So part of your job as a dragon trainer is to not just bond with your dragon, but one, figure out how to hatch it, because there is a recipe. There are certain elements that need to be persistent. There need to be things that happen, temperatures that need to be in the right places for those dragons to be hatched. And you'll see this, we haven't really talked about this a lot because this is going to be part of that whole discovery process, to actually bonding with your dragon, to progressing your dragon to the next version, like the next phase of its life. And through that process, right, as you develop a strong bond with that, this is going to allow you to venture out into the dragon realm, help prove that humans and dragons aren't inhospitable to each other, and that we're actually there to help. And through that, discover new eggs that have been unhatched with other breeds, and start to gain the favor of the race of dragons throughout the world. So there's going to be a lot of different sort of puzzles, unlocks, different things that you have to figure out, and then even the whole idea that you might be putting yourself or even your dragon in harm's way to be able to accomplish that. In addition to all that, we are looking at like community resource development to be able to build out certain parts of the dragon, like Dragon Federation in the dragon realm. But I will give you this little bit of lore if you're ready for it. We have learned that because of modern technology, radio frequencies actually interfere. So wireless technology and some of that other stuff that we were hoping to be able to use in the dragon realm have actually, we had to go analog. And so a lot of the communications are going to be through hardwired systems, kind of feeds that are in that, until we can establish a better foothold. So you'll start to see some of the materials and stuff that's coming out of the dragon realm that are going to be moving over to that more analog sort of technology, but just sharing that with you. So let's see. When can we see more concept in Dragon Federation inside? So I am going to be putting quick show of hands real quick. I got to take this because one of the things that I've had people telling me is I've been putting together just a visual of your dragon going from egg to hatchling to adult. Are you guys more interested in not having that type of stuff revealed? Or is that something that you would actually like to see in like if we had a timeline, or if we had like some interactive elements on the website that you could see your dragon going from egg to adult, like the mountain skull, is that something that you would want to see? Or does that feel like a spoiler that you want to wait till you see your own dragon do that? Give some hearts if that's something that you would like to see. I would love to understand what you guys are thinking when it comes to that. So Silverwings already said, wait to see it grow up. We want to see the phases. Give us something to look forward to, like the video you did of you and your dragon behind you. So Severus wants to wait. I'm impartial. I wouldn't mind it, but I wouldn't mind being surprised either. See, this is where it gets hard. So the more we show you of the world, right, it might spoil for some people, but it's also kind of a carrot for others. I get like the wanting to see more of the world, even more of the dragons, and maybe that's the trade-off, right? More of some of the art of what we're looking at for some of the places, versus necessarily seeing the dragon. Maybe it'd have to be a toggle choice, if that's even possible. That makes it complicated, especially when we're talking about testing and doing some things with the dragon. I've been working on a piece actually that I've been meaning to put on the website over the last couple of days, but I'm looking for the best way to do it, and I'm trying to. There was a little bit of not the dragon more, if the world. I might be misunderstanding that one. I don't have to read the instructions, but having them is always good. Yeah, we all know that we look at the spoilers. The trailer gets released and we watched it. Like, I guess that's the thing that I should say is maybe we should start having an unwrap where it's like, click here on the website if you want to see your dragon moving from this stuff. Don't just go on, move on, right? He wants to see more of the dragon realm. Okay, fair enough. And to just share on more of the dragon realm, it's just because I haven't been that's not where I've been spending most of my time. Most of my time has been spent on, like we've been talking about, the behind the scenes, the brain of the dragon, the genetic properties of the dragon, how the dragon reacts to you personally, what are its traits, how does that grow and evolve. That's where we've been spending tons and tons and tons of time. And I've got lots of charts. I've got lots of simulated models. I've got lots of things to see how stable that brain and that activity is. And those are a lot of parts where we've been spending a ton of time right now, as well as how we're going to deliver the information for you guys to be able to find, to be able to start learning about this stuff appropriately, right? To how to take care of your dragon. But then there's also going to be other goals in this, right? Because we've talked about whether it's having a declared sort of role, whether you're going to be a dragon breeder, whether you're going to be a farmer, whether you're going to be a battler, and what that looks like. And all of those goals will be a part of this, is kind of like secondary. So add a spoiler warning. Okay. I would like to see my dragon grow. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will put it on the site this next week, and I will try and gate it. I was going to put it front and center to replace the video that's on there right now at the hero. But maybe we'll see about what that looks like, to just tease it in a little package area that you don't have to go to, or that you don't have to see. Yeah. there's that. Let me ask you this, Dominic. Have you been able to see a lot of the stuff that was in the VR headset already? If not, there's quite a bit in there, honestly, in the latest build that was pushed out even last year. That kind of gives you a really good idea. Some of the stuff hasn't been fully put together as far as like optimized, but you can start to get a really good idea for the way that we're attacking this. Let's see. For roles, will we be locked into those, or will we be able to multi-class, so to speak? So yes, you can multi-class. I mean, because let's just say that you don't have to specialize, but specialize is going to make you more effective in one way. Just take like a horse that races, right? If you're going to go to the Kentucky Derby, that horse is not going to be ridden like a regular horse, right? So if you're planning on going to a competitive level with your dragon in any one of the things that we have planned, then it just depends on what you're looking at for multi-class. Now, as far as the classes, when we talked about like the Mountain Skull being a fire breather, high altitude flyer, or an armored tank, the truth is you're only going to get one of those. So once that class has been identified and featured for the dragon, or earned, I should say, that dragon everything will adapt for that dragon to meet that class, and it won't change. So although it can learn and you can develop like attributes of the other pieces, it won't be able to kind of go on and off or straddle the line. So that is a choice that will need to be made. But for roles, I meant more along the lines as writers, farmers, researchers. Yeah, 100%. That's just time, right? So when you look at your own sort of evolution in your life, if you want to be a professional athlete, if you want to be a writer, if you want to be a chef, if you want to be a veterinarian, all of those things are available to you all throughout your life. So it's not an issue of whether or not you have to make a declaration and then be stuck to that. That's fluid. So you'll be able to make that choice as much as you want. Well, we are coming up on the final minute, and this has gone by pretty quick, but I should probably... I am going to put into the chat again the link for the VIP, just so that anybody that wants to go into there can go into there, and continue to get on that. I saw that there was a couple of sales that have definitely come through during this. I don't know if it's directly related to this because we're still just ongoing, but thank you for that. But yeah, so if you guys still want to participate, still want to do that, like share this. Like I said, we're just growing the community right now. I love it. The Discord's hopefully going to just start filling up like it does, and we'll have new friends to harass in the way that I like to describe it. So yeah, if there's any questions, will there be inside game money to buy dragon and food, etc.? Yeah, so there will be a currency system. We are playing with the idea right now of resources, so trade. So if you pick up certain resources, that you can use those for value for other things, because there's going to be a lot of different give and take. And the reason why that's going to exist that way is because we all live in different geographic regions where certain resources are more abundant and certain ones aren't. And we want to encourage the communication, guild creation, trading and swapping. And so whether that turns into an actual guild currency or a currency within the game, there will be able... The way that we're hoping to do it, and this was something that if you knew my brother, if you followed us way back when we were doing this in the very beginning, he was just like, I absolutely hate experiences in games that you pay dollars for real money, pay to win, essentially, right? And so this idea that anybody that had money could unlock whatever they wanted to, he wanted to remove that completely. And even to be able to buy like V-Bucks and all that kind of stuff that they do, it's like, we would rather it be one of those things where you're helping somebody out by either purchasing their resources that then can be traded for money, or likewise in the game. But you won't have to. The way that we are currently trying to make it is so that you don't actually have to spend any additional money to be able to get something. It may take you longer, but the idea is that you won't have to do it. And we're certainly not a pay to win platform, because what is there to win other than a dragon that you're bonding with? When it starts to come to some of the other things, we'll get into way more of like down the road, like what competitions look like, and all the good stuff that comes with a good dragon, I guess you would say. I'm throwing that link in there again. Make sure don't making you pay like an MMO. Absolutely, like that. We don't want to do that. So that was one of the things that when we were looking at the beginning of this, that we wanted to make sure that we weren't echoing what the industry was doing. We wanted to focus on more of what would make the best experience. And so we know that those paid MMO scenarios, and that's where we're at. But I just want to say again, thank you for all of your support. It's good to see like the group. I love the questions on here. Let's continue that in the Discord. Certainly share your thoughts on Facebook with a lot of the people that are going to be coming in and saying we got trolls all over the place. So, extend your support wherever you can lend it. We would certainly appreciate it. And share this with anybody you think that would be, interested in what we're doing. But again, thank you so much for showing up to the Lauren Story. And I hope to be doing this more often, because we're just in that space now. It's time to communicate. But at that, I will leave you at that, and have a great Monday night or Monday morning for some of you that may be across the country. But other than that, thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.